Good evening, and welcome to the Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk here on KZGN-TV. I'm your host, Robert Eierman, along with co-host Al Huey, and tonight we're honored to have Councilman-elect Eddie Thomas with us. Thanks for joining us, Eddie.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
And I know that you're anticipative of your first meeting coming up. And although this is probably going to air after that first meeting, this is pre-recorded because of your very tight schedule. So thanks for taking the time to come in and see us. And are you very anticipative?
I think I'm anticipative and nervous at the same time, but I'm looking forward to going in with the ideal of learning everything I can and doing what I can for the city.
Okay, yeah. And we have had council meetings. I don't think that this first one would do it, but we've had council meetings that go till 1 in the morning. I hope you're prepared for that.
Well, I hope my wife is prepared to allow me to stay out that late because I do have a curfew.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I've been at some of those meetings, and I've also been to meetings where they had to go the next day.
Yes.
So
okay.
Yeah, I was telling Robert, I have a friend in Oklahoma who got elected to a school board there. And kind of like with the situation here, there were 3 of them, so they kind of took over the majority. And one of the rules they implemented was they had to have their business done by 9 p.m. or they had to follow up the next day to finish.
So the buzzword was try to finish.
Yes,
Okay.
and I happened to be there one night when they were finishing the last item, and the one member was just speed reading as fast as he could to meet that 9 o'clock deadline. So, you know, that's something to consider. But the other thing is just the building of agendas needs to be looked at a lot closer so that you don't have such a full plate that goes to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's good planning as far as building an agenda.
Yeah, we have talked about that, Al and I have, and you've probably thought about it, and I just don't know what the answer is. Are there just that many items of important business? And I kind of suspect that that's the case. I don't think that they're putting anything on the agenda that doesn't need to be. Now, I think that part of the consequence of not having committees is longer council meetings. But it's kind of like you pays me now or you pays me later. If you're on a committee, then you've spent 2-3 hours there, and right. The council meeting may be shorter. But and in my opinion, there are pros and cons to having committees.
And there's also the option of special meeting. You see that there's so much on the plate, you could just schedule a special meeting before, after the regular council meeting to get the business done.
Yeah, I suppose. And speaking of business, one of the key things for myself, and I know for Al, is the question of which is more important business. Is it the functioning of the city, certainly important, or is it interfacing with your constituents? I personally feel that interfacing with your constituents is the primary business that should occur. And I feel in the past that hasn't been the case. And I'm looking forward to this new council shifting the focus and making sure that anytime someone takes the time, energy, and commitment to come down and speak at public comment, they will be answered, addressed, talked with, however you want to put it, as opposed to what we have experienced in the past and what I've referred to as 5 bumps on a log. So
I hope at the end of the public comment is thank you very much.
Right. So I'm hoping that you also will make the commitment, as Mayor-elect Breeden has and Councilman-elect Mauer has, that will not be the case anymore.
I ran my, if you allow me to use the term, campaign on, I'm not running for myself or city council, but I'm running for you. I think in my position, I'm used to people interacting with me, being a pastor, and then also working on the base. So as a pastor standpoint, you look for opportunities where people interact with you, willing to give you their opinion and their thought process, because that's a part of saying to us that I'm engaged, I'm involved, and I want to participate. But when you don't give the public the opportunity to fully engage or feel like they're being heard seriously or that their concerns matter, then you get what you get. So I look for an opportunity for people to look at me and say, hey, tell me what happened. Tell me how it came about. Why did you make those decisions? So that the people are informed, the committee is informed, and we have a better community. So,
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
And the other thing, we had Mr. Lemieux on, the city attorney here recently, and he did not disagree that engaging the public is prohibited under the Brown Act. The only word he emphasized, and it is in the Brown Act, is briefly. So, but that could be left to interpretation, you know.
Yes.
Briefly, 30 seconds or 3 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
right. And I think the city, once they see that this new council is maybe a little bit more transparent, that they will begin to loosen up, and it won't be such a harsh, long, drawn-out meeting. It'll be one of, I can trust them. Here's my input. Can you do something about it?
Right.
And we'll move past all the hard city council meetings that we have had in the past.
I think that's an excellent approach, because I think that interacting with the public in the way that we've talked about will go a long way to instill that confidence, that comfort, that credibility, that trust in the council.
Right.
And you know what always frustrated me is it's not that those members up there in the past have been not working well for the city. It's just that they, for whatever reason, weren't informative enough to the public. They knew things, but they just didn't share it with the public. And I think that this would go a long way to improving the relations between the council and the city.
Well, we need to take a break, unfortunately. So we'll be back right after these special words from our sponsors, I guess.
That's right.
Join us here
Come
on
back.
KZGN, Ridgecrest Talk. Welcome back. We're here tonight with Councilman-elect Eddie Thomas, one of the 3 new members of the council that was elected. And we're actually recording this before his first council meeting. This will air the night after he's actually sworn in and seated on the city council, which is kind of interesting. So before we went to break, we were kind of talking, but do you have any goals, desires, not necessarily agendas, but items that you would like to address while you're on the council to kind of move the city in a different direction than what it's been going?
I have one that I'm kind of passionate about, and that is, well, actually it's 2. The first one really is about getting more business established here in Ridgecrest.
Okay. Economic development.
Yes. And also, when you say that, I'm also making reference to a more diverse kind of community for opportunities for all different people of business type, not just a particular set, but all different kind. I mean, we've got a lot of one business established here. There are other ones that are out there that we need to look at, see if we can attract them to this great city of Ridgecrest, seeing the weather so good.
Along those lines, one of the astonishing things to me and to Robert, it's been a while back, actually, back when we were doing radio, there was a new business that went in on Ridgecrest Boulevard. It was a batting cage.
Yes, the batting cages.
And the cost for that individual to get up and running, he had to get some kind of a loan, if I'm not mistaken, from the city
Yes.
to cover the fees and startup costs. It was $14,000.
$17,000,
Wow.
something
Seems
like
like a lot of money for a small business in this town to have to pay to open their doors.
Right.
So maybe that could be addressed to see if those fees can't be reduced in some way. What was it, New York now?
New York, no corporate taxes, no sales taxes, no income tax for startup New York.
For 5 years, right?
10.
10.
Wow.
Yeah.
10 years.
But you know, at least if they could do something towards, quote, financing those fees so that they could pay them rather than in advance, but on a monthly basis, so that it wouldn't be so costly to actually open the business.
Right.
And then there should, in my opinion, if the business can't succeed, okay, we're not going to hold you to all those thousands and thousands of dollars of fees. But something to encourage people to start a business and bring the costs down a little bit.
Well, yeah, to do that, and to also entice maybe our local people to go in business and not just always attract
Absolutely.
people from out of
I
town.
was actually referring to the local people
Yes,
that would
yes.
like to start a business, but they cannot come up with that big amount of money to get
Initially.
it going. I mean, first of all, you know, they have to rent a place, they have to stock a place, they have to hire employees. It's very costly. And
Correct.
so anything, in my opinion, that the city can do to reduce that would be very helpful. And they can get their money downstream instead of up front.
Speaking of new business,
Yes?
Super Walmart. That's back when I ran for city council back in 2004, it was being introduced. And here we are 10 years later, and I don't know, maybe they hid Super Walmart, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't found it yet either.
Yeah.
From my understanding, it's coming now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that
Yeah.
now for 10 years.
Yeah.
Give us one more year then.
Oh, okay. One more year.
And
I'm
of
going to
course-
put that down in writing.
And of course, it's not. It's the delay, although maybe initially, my opinion, was the city's fault because they thought they had the golden goose and they were going to cut a fat egg. And in my opinion, they pushed Walmart away by doing that. And then, of
we
course,
had a small financial
we had
crisis.
right. We had a small crisis, and Walmart has put their new stores other priorities. I mean, my goodness, I was up in eastern Washington. There's a little town called Ephrata, and I don't know. The best I could get out of people is there's maybe 10,000 people,
Wow.
and they have a beautiful new Super Walmart.
Do they really?
Yes, it's incredible. And it was busy, busy, busy. This was a Saturday afternoon. So I know that they're still building, but unfortunately, we didn't get it yet.
Yeah.
It's coming.
And my fear with the Super Walmart, as we've had with other big box stores that have come in, is it affects the smaller
It does.
independent stores. Also, I'm fearful of the Walmart we have now becoming another vacant building next door to
Next door to
Staples.
vacant Staples, yeah.
That is a vacant store
Correct.
now. And I fear that if the Super Walmart comes in across the street, the new Albertsons could be affected to the degree they might close. I don't know, but that would be a real
Devastating.
problem if you had those
All that
3
empty
storefronts
buildings,
closed
yes.
down and empty.
Yeah, and like you said, I think the small business will have to look at some things and re-strategizing how they'll go about some things. But one of the things about Ridgecrest and the small business here that they have survived through a lot of tough times, and I think they'll figure out how to make it work, how to make it happen, and be competitive in their pricing and their service to the community, and because they've been here for. And that's the beautiful thing about Ridgecrest. This is a loyal town.
It is.
It is,
They
yes.
support their people, and I think that's good.
Yeah, I think businesses just need to focus on service, number one, and two, carrying things that Walmart, Super Walmart,
Don't care.
Kmart doesn't carry, so that they, and niche stores, whether it be, a cooking store, a fabric store.
We could use a bakery.
We could use a
Yeah.
bakery, yeah.
A good butcher shop.
Yeah.
Deli. All right, we're just about to go into our final break here. When we come back, we'll talk about a topic that is seems to be of great concern to a lot of citizens, and that's Ridgecrest Boulevard.
West Ridgecrest Boulevard.
Yeah, West Ridgecrest Boulevard.
And have you driven down it recently?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And now that it's striped, what are you thinking?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it. I really like
We'll
it.
have to hold that. We'll be back right after this break. Remember, you're listening to the Ridgecrest. Never mind.
Ridgecrest Talk Thursday night. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk, the Thursday night version, where we're hard on the issues.
And soft on the people.
Right. And one of the people we have tonight, again, returning back to Councilman-elect Eddie Thomas. And we were talking about economic development before we went to break, and the new Super Walmart, which, according to him, will be here soon.
I'm learning politics.
But moving on from economic development, let's talk a little bit about infrastructure, and in particular, Ridgecrest Boulevard, West Ridgecrest Boulevard, and the infamous bulb outs that seem to be of great concern. Now, they have done most of the striping, I think. There might be an area or two that they're not done with yet. And it does look a little better, I have to say. But still, Robert and I were driving down it the other day, and we're heading down there, and there's a bicyclist, and there's a bulb out, and the bicyclist has to come out into traffic to get around it.
Yes.
That happened twice as we were driving down there. So, and if you look at some of the bulb outs, well, actually, most of the bulb outs, they'd have tire marks on them where people have already kissed them.
Yes.
So what is your concern regarding Ridgecrest Boulevard? What would you like to see?
Well, I think from the striping, because beforehand, as we all know, it was somewhat chaotic to drive down there. So the striping, as you said, has helped in reference to where the handicap can go across the dividing lines. What I'd like to see is us finish this so that we don't potentially mess up any funding issues, and then go back and make the necessary corrections that need to occur to make that more friendly towards the bicycle person that is riding his bike, as well as the handicap, even as well as the businesses that are being potentially cut off.
Yeah,
So,
there's some that lost parking.
parking and easy access into their business. So I know that they're probably hurting financially. So we need to sit down with them as a council, go out there and talk to them and find out, now it's in, what can we do to make it better, to make it right.
And then the median that went into last minute at the intersection of Norma and Ridgecrest Boulevard that affected the dairy and Todd's. That wasn't planned for, and it was a complete and total surprise to both those business owners. And the response from the city was, well, we had to do that according to new state laws because we're going to put a traffic light in there. Well, Robert and I were wondering why not the other side of the intersection, or
there's three
north
other
and south
points to
on
that
Norma.
intersection.
Right.
And they don't have dividers.
So it
Correct.
seems like a couple businesses might have been, picked on.
Well, I don't want to say this too often, but I'm new. And my position is, I'm not saying that anything that they've done, because remember, this was planned a long time ago.
Right, right.
But what I am saying is I'm willing to go in there and make it right. So,
Excellent.
because they did what they did. They did the best, and I think the current city council is an excellent group of men and women.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes.
now we've got to go in and take it like we've done it, and we got to go in and
Well,
fix
part of the problem is they claim that it was fully vetted. And last I heard, it was a group of like 20 people.
Yes. And that brings up the exact same point that I made earlier.
Transparency.
And they, it wasn't that they were trying to hide things. That's
Right.
not the point. They just didn't, in my opinion, go the extra mile. They could have could have gone to the newspapers and say, hey, put this picture in the newspaper, this artist rendition. Do an article for us so that we communicate. They could have gone to the radio station before it closed, or even nowadays to the TV station and said, please help us get it out, the word out. And I just don't think that they
And when
thought
they
about
did
doing
have
that.
the advertisement that it was, as I understand it, put out is discussion of Ridgecrest Boulevard, road construction or whatever. Well, most people said, well, you're just going to pave the road, so
Yeah.
why do I need to attend that, you know?
Right.
Well, when I was at this last council meeting, Mr. Spear says that they had several meetings with the public that went down Ridgecrest Boulevard. That they sat down, they had drawings, they allowed them to pick out of 3 designs. They went the extra mile, talked to them, that the city or the business owners were fully aware of it. So
Doesn't seem to be the case.
that was my point. It doesn't seem like, it seems like there's a disconnect between what the business owners remember versus what we believe.
And the
went
way
forward.
it's introduced, like we're going to have a discussion
Correct.
on Ridgecrest Boulevard. Well, you think, well, yeah, you're just going to pave it.
Pave it.
Why do I need
Tell
to
me
attend?
all of it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Tell me all
and
of
some of the problems in the early goings with the utility companies. I talked to Mr. Help me.
Culp?
Culp. And the way he explained it is they told the utilities that they were going to be doing this road construction and they need to prepare for it. But what they didn't tell them is this was going to be a much deeper road construction. They were going much deeper than they normally do, that was going to affect some of the utilities in a different way they had been impacted in the past.
Okay.
So they were kind of caught off guard because, again, it wasn't fully explained, you know? So,
Well, and that's something I'm really hoping, and I think because of the diversity on this committee, you know, that we can do that. You know, you do things, let's say if it was a mistake or wasn't very well accomplished, why don't we go back, see what we did maybe wrong, and make it better,
right.
communication-wise, because that seems to be the biggest thing that happened in that West Ridgecrest Boulevard issue, is that there was a lack of, and continues to be a lack of communication, even in our meetings. So
Okay.
I think we just need to sit down and talk to them. Say, hey, sorry, now let's fix it. What do you need? Because it ain't going to get fixed if we keep sitting here talking about it.
That's right. That's right.
It's true.
Well, we're just about to the end of our show here. We want to let you know that we'll be calling upon you in the future to come and visit us and talk with us. And if you ever want to come on and talk about anything, you get a hold of us. We'll be glad to host you, have you come on and talk whatever you want to talk about to the community.
I think that's going to help in our transparency. And Robert, you and Al have been, and this radio station been good to me. I'll be more than happy to come back.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And if any of you viewers out there have a topic you want to talk about, contact the TV station, al.huey@kzgn.net, and make a suggestion.
All right.
So we're going to have to leave you now. Please join us next Thursday evening for more Ridgecrest talk. I'm Robert Eierman, along with Al Huey.
Good night, folks.